Welcome back. Today we are working more with ratios and graphing. So go ahead and open your workbook up to page 280. Okay, so number 10, model with math. A bread recipe calls for 4 cups of white flour for every 5 cups of whole wheat flour. Complete the table to show how many cups of whole wheat flour are needed to mix with 16 cups of white flour. Then graph the pairs of values. So here's the table that has all the white flour values. You just have to complete the whole wheat and then graph it. You can do that on your own. Let's take a look at number 11. The graph shows the relationship between the number of cups of sugar and the number of cups of flour in a recipe. What point on the graph represents the number of cups of sugar that would be used with 8 cups of flour? So here is the line on the graph, but you notice there's no points, and it's asking about 8 cups of flour. So along the bottom are the values for the cups of flour. Go to 8 and then see where it meets the line, and that will tell you how many cups of sugar. Number 12, higher order thinking. Ishwar can read 5 pages in 15 minutes. There's a ratio, right? 5 to 15. Anne can read 15 pages in 1 hour. Explain how you could use a table or a graph to find how much longer it would take Anne to read a 300-page book than Ishwar. So you got your 2 ratios here, but one of them you're going to have to convert so that you're comparing the same units. Notice that this one says 15 minutes, and with Anne it says 1 hour. So you'll want to convert that to minutes when you work on that problem. Okay? How about if you do those 3, pause the video, come back when you're ready to check your answers. Okay. So here we go. So I completed the table with 5, 10, 15, and 20, and then graphed. And here with this one, when I went to 8 and then went straight up, I found that it met the line at 2 cups of sugar. So the point is 8.2. So for Anne and Ishwar, you can make a table of equivalent ratios for 5 to 15 and 15 to 60, and then look at the minutes for both when the pages are both at 300. And if you make those tables, when you get to the 300 mark for both of them, compare how many pages each would have read or how long each would have taken at that point. And then notice how much longer it took Anne. So it took Anne 5 hours longer. Okay, now Edward. Let's talk about Edward. He owes his parents $20 for a new video game that he bought. He pays his parents back $5 every 2 days. I think that's a little weird. How come he gets 5? Where does he get the $5 every 2 days? Anyway, doesn't matter. Complete the table and the graph to find how long it will take Edward to pay back his debt. Okay? So, remember, this is like that one where we are subtracting, right? We're starting off at day 0. How much does he owe at the beginning? He owes $20, right? And then we know that every 2 days, he pays back $5. So after 2 days, we're going to be counting up by 2s. He's going to owe $5 less than he did at day 0. So after 2 days, he's going to owe $15. So complete the rest of that table, graph your values, and then give me your answer. Pause and come back when you're ready to check. Okay, so the rest of the table looks like this: 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, 15, 10, 5, and 0. So it takes him 8 days. And here's what that graph looks like. All right, let's take a look at page 281. Vocabulary. So this is some review. How can a ratio be used to compare quantities? What do you think? How about this one? Elsie's math class has 11 female students and 10 male students. See the ratio Write the ratio of female students to the total number of students in two different ways. Total number. This is a ratio of female to male. Write it in two different ways. During the breakfast service, the D-Town Diner sells 12 cups of coffee for every 10 glasses of orange juice. How many cups of coffee would the diner have sold if 40 glasses of orange juice had been sold? Complete the table with equivalent ratios. So it started for you and it gave you an ending point for glasses of juice. Complete that and find the answer. Okay, let's take a look at number 4, and then I'm going to have you work independently for a bit. The ratio of cows to chickens at Old MacDonald's farm, it's not very original, is 2 to 7. Which farms have a greater ratio of cows to chickens than Old MacDonald's farm? Select all that apply. So here are your 5 choices. Red's farm, these farms, so there's ratios for the different animals for each of those, cows to chickens. Which ones have a greater ratio of cows to chickens? So more cows for the number of chickens. Solve that one. So just pause the video now and then come back when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, here we go. So how can a ratio be used to compare quantities? We can do part to part, or we can do part to whole. Speaking of part to whole, 11 female students and 10 male students, write the ratio of female students to the total number of students in 2 different ways. So this is just the original ratio that it gives you. But if we want the total number of students, we have to add 11 and 10 together for 21, and 11 of them are female. So we can write it like that. We can write it like that. Or we can write it like that. Okay? Now, cups of coffee at the D-Town Diner. I completed the table, so it's 48 cups of coffee when there's 40 glasses of juice. Okay? And now for these ones, I figured out the different ratios for each and then compared them and found that Red's farm and C&C's farm has a greater ratio of cows to chickens. All right, let's look at this last problem on this page. A package of 3 notebooks costs $5. Complete the ratio table and graph the pairs of values. How much will 18 notebooks cost? Let's look at the table. They've filled in all of the cost values for you. You have to complete these values and then graph them. And then it's asked you, how much will 18 notebooks cost, which I think you will find is not one of the values there. 6, 9, 2, yeah. So you'll have to extend it to figure that out. Okay, so work on that one and come back to check your answer. Okay, here we go. So I filled in the labels for the graph, and then I completed the table. So it's 3 to 5, 6 to 10, 9 to 15, 12 to 20, and 15 to 25. And then when I wanted to see what would happen for 18 notebooks, I had to go over to this graph and go straight up and see where it would have met the line, and that was right at $30. Boop. Okay. All right. Now we have one more page for today. And here we go. Hillside Orchard grows Fuji apples and Gala apples. There are 160 Fuji apple trees and 120 Gala apple trees in the orchard. Okay, now, part A. Hillsdale Orchard's owners decides to plant 30 new Gala apple trees. Complete the ratio table to find the number of new Fuji apple trees the owner should plant if they want to maintain the same ratio of Fuji to Gala. So the original ratio is here, 160 to 120. Now we've got 30 here. So what should be here and here? So complete that table to answer that question. Now, part B. Use the ratio table to complete a graph, this ratio table right here, to complete this graph that shows the relationship between the number of Fuji apple trees and Gala apple trees at the orchard. And also don't forget to put in the labels for the graph. And finally, part C, by the end of the next season, the owners of Hillsdale Orchard plan to have 240 Fuji apple trees. So, how could you use the graph to find the total number of Fuji and Gala apple trees that Hillsdale Orchard will have if the owners achieve their goal? And their goal is 240 Fuji apple trees. So the total number of trees will be the Fuji plus the Gala. So what it's really asking is, how many Gala apple trees will you have if you've got 240 Fuji? So you have to find that next equivalent ratio. All right, work on this and then come back when you're ready to check your work. Okay, here we go. So the first thing I did was complete this table, and I counted by, I did 40, 80, and then up to 160, and then 30, 60, and then doubled it for 120. So that's how I filled that table in. And then I used that table to plot those values, labeling both the Fuji and the Gala. And then I extended the ratios to find the answer for the next one. So if they want 240 Fuji apple trees, then that means they're going to have 180 Gala apple trees. And then when I add those together, I get 420 total apple trees. Okay. I went kind of fast there because this is review stuff for you. Okay, so tomorrow we are going to start talking about something slightly different. Unit rates and just regular old rates. And it's super closely tied to ratios, so you'll see what I mean then. Thanks for working so hard. Hang in there, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.